Yes, he is here. James Creedon, I think, looking pretty relaxed and Italian. It's a nice ensemble you put together there.
It's from that relaxing press conference that I was looking at all afternoon.
Good stuff. Tell us about tonight's Media Watch.
It was one of those press conferences that just went on and on and on.
You're talking
so
François
if you were
Hollande,
wearing
right?
a tie, it had to come off. You had to put your feet up, the whole thing. A lot of people complaining that it was a little bit too long-winded at the top because he went on for some 45 minutes mark before he answered a question. This was his first, François Hollande's first big press conference.
I suppose if the president can't be long-winded, who can?
Well, that's it. And he had a lot of issues to cover. Now, the idea was to dominate the media today with this press conference. Of course, the strategists at the Elysée, that was their idea. And indeed, if you look at this website, every single story on the front page is related to aspects of what he covered in the press conference. A couple of, I'm getting ahead of myself here, a couple of tweets. I seem to have gone way ahead of myself. Actually, let's go back to the start. A couple of tweets on it, not so much a press conference, more like a speech interrupted from time to time by polite queries from the note-taking audience. So some people critical of perhaps an overly reverential attitude from some of the journalists who didn't really ask the tough questions in the beginning. There were some probing questions as it went on. This was, I suppose, one cartoonist's for l'Express magazine take on what can be a rather staid process at times. You've got all those teddy bears in the guise of journalists. Another one here this is on Instagram, a journalist who seems to have nodded off in a newsroom somewhere looking at François Hollande, and on a perdu Nicolas, we seem to have lost Nicolas, Nicolas being the name of the journalist. Also a lot of comparisons with Sarkozy throughout on social media. Sarkozy's name was mentioned on Twitter almost as much as Hollande's, partly because Hollande mentioned Sarkozy on a couple of occasions and referred to him on a few occasions more, and also because there's the inevitable comparison.
Well, Sarkozy's very
his
good for
predecessor.
Sarkozy was good for headlines, headline-grabbing phrases.
He was definitely
phrases
more
that made
charismatic.
an impact, and obviously policies that kind of sometimes were unpopular, but certainly kept him in the news. He would always say something. Turns up the housing estate and calls everybody scum. It gets in the news. François Hollande's a different man, different fish.
Totally different style. And as this person it seems to lament Sarkozy, saying Sarko au moins avait la carrure. At least he had a bit of presence. Now, a lot of the strategists or the analysts were saying Sarkozy would often turn a press conference into something about one major issue, or he would make some dramatic statement and that would become the story.
I noticed the tweets from Bouches-du-Rhône, which is a very right-wing part of France. Good to say that. Yeah.
That's right. So that might explain that. The difference with Hollande is he keeps very close to the script. He's very polished and a bit of a technocrat in terms of the details, an absolute perfectionist, no slip-ups whatsoever, but less charismatic. Now, just some of the other aspects of this interview. Always, François Hollande seems to have his cravate de travers, his tie askew. And this, of course, being social media, people pick up on these little details. Your tie is much better knotted, Mark, I have to say.
Mine is à travers a little bit, and people in our gallery, a technical gallery, say to me, well, Mark, why is it like that? I say, well, that's just kind of the British style.
The style, right. Now, do you know that François Hollande, actually, there's a website dedicated to his cravate being the travers?
That is great.
And you see there, you have the travers or not the travers right down through it. So people picking up on that.
That is
now,
funny.
One other aspect, Twitter went into overcapacity because there was a lot of comment online due to this. You had the Elysée communicating. You had lots of other people communicating on various other hashtags. So lots of talk about that. I suppose another aspect too, Valérie Trierweiler, that famous tweeting First Lady, she did actually tweet today on the subject of something totally unrelated because she was on a visit to a factory up in the north of Lille, said that she'd watch the press conference on TV, and this person being a little bit ironic on it, saying, and all of this while Valérie has her thumbs tied up. What a pity, because she famously gaffed on Twitter towards the beginning of François Hollande's presidency, related to the election and his ex-wife or ex-partner. And it was a messy tweeting incident.
Did she gaff? Did she do it deliberately to stir things up?
Who knows?
Only she knows the answer.
Right. So seeing as there was a lot of Twitter reaction to this, people had an eye on her to see if she'd react, and she didn't.
James Creedon with Media Watch, thank you very much indeed. Always a pleasure to see you.